Welcome to the first night of the new theme around San Francisco's future. So we selected this theme a few months back with the high voltage members. We have a committee that selects future themes. Anyone, as you probably know, can nominate ideas. And Sochi and I are very excited that this was selected as the next theme. We wanted to do something local, and I think the second theme is a good time to do it. San Francisco is a city that we've lived in now for 12 years. Sochi is from the Bay Area. It's a city that we love. It's a city that we opened the Battery in because we like this city. And we intend to be here for the rest of our lives. So it's become an important city to us, and it's a city that we care about supporting. So we're delighted that we're focusing on San Francisco's future. And Sochi and I have been benefactors of the boom of San Francisco. It's kind of the second boom, as it was formed by the gold rush boom. But this boom is far more impactful, certainly on a global basis, than the first time round. So we're sort of living through history at the moment, and with any great positive comes some negatives, and there's a huge rate of change. Not everyone in the city is a direct benefactor of the boom. So it's great that we're gathered here today, and I think most people in this room probably are benefactors, and it's a great opportunity that we can collectively work out what we can do to give back and help those that are not benefiting in the same way. And when we opened the club, we sort of had some first-hand experience because we employ about 150 people in the club, and they're in hospitality industry, which is nowhere near as well paid as the tech industry. So we notice, even though for hospitality we pay really well, that they really struggle to survive and live in the city, and many of them commute in from surrounding areas. So we've kind of heard that firsthand, the challenge and the difficulty that even on a pretty decent wage, this city is a pretty difficult city to live in. So we're excited to hear from the experts today, and I'd like to be the first to thank everyone who's partaking. I think we have 5 panelists and 1 moderator. So thank you, everybody, for agreeing to be part of this. We're delighted by the caliber of people that we've got involved again, and I know it's going to be a great evening. So I'm going to sit back and learn about what we can do in the future in San Francisco. And I'm going to hand over to Alison Duncan, who's the founder and CEO of Amplify Strategies, who are our philanthropic partners in organizing Battery Powered. So thank you, Alison.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone. Well, welcome. Good evening, and welcome to the winter. It's a new giving season at the Battery, and this is the winter 2015 theme, San Francisco's future. The high voltage members selected this theme because they realized that this was an extraordinary time in the history of San Francisco. I have just these little papers here that I need to keep track of. And the future of the city is really an exhilarating topic. It's also one that's close to our hearts and very relevant to our daily lives because we're living and working here every day. It's certain that innovation is revolutionizing many areas of city life and government. And then the 21st century is bringing deep change to many sectors, including pushing us to redefine our ideas of what is a modern city and government. In this theme, we ask the question, how can we create a vibrant and affordable city for 1 million residents? Because that's where San Francisco is going by 2030. Growth and prosperity are requiring all of us to think carefully about what kind of city we want San Francisco to be in the future. Recognizing that transformation is everywhere, it's clear that many of the decisions that we make today will influence the city for decades to come. And to measure success, we'll need to look beyond the traditional metrics, economic metrics, and include well-being of city residents as some of the important measurements. We all love this place, and there's a lot at stake, and we have the possibility and opportunity to play a role in what the city's future looks like, and many of us already are. Our collective experience and resources have the potential to make this theme deeply impactful. And as with the last theme, the Battery Powered team has been astonished at how engaged Battery members already are in creating a vibrant and affordable San Francisco. I'd like to first of all thank Dan Kingsley, one of our members, for working very closely with us as we put together tonight's evening. Also tonight, we're announcing a very special Member Perspectives evening on March 5th, where some of your fellow members will share with us about their perspectives on the future. So as you know, we have expert night and we have organization night, but because this is so close to home, we're going to be bringing a very special evening where some of the notable citizens of our city, as well as members of the Battery, will come to us and talk about the work that they're doing very deeply already and how we could all be a part of that. While taking on a future city is a big proposition, we've seen that small changes, just like with the prison theme, that small steps can lead to big change. And to help us drive the theme, we've created a framework that's been inspired by leading thinkers and also includes attributes that really make San Francisco unique. Our plan is to focus on housing, local livelihoods and economy, and social movements. If you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, in terms of a future city, my thing is not included, such as education or the arts, don't worry, this is sort of the first time that we're delving into San Francisco. We're going to revisit San Francisco, absolutely, and this theme will help us to build the context for a lot of those other questions that we'll want to take on together as battery-powered members. Sorry about this. These little papers are very thin. I'm nervous. I'm not afraid of you all. I'm afraid of dropping this whole pile. So tonight we have an excellent panel of experts that are dedicated to visioning and creating a vibrant and affordable city. And to get us started on our journey, please join me in welcoming the panel. You can learn from learn about each of the speakers. I'm not going to read their bios. There are bios that are on your chairs with you, and you can learn about them. And experts, when I call your name, please come up. Gabriel Metcalf, President and CEO of Spur. Corey Cook. Great, Gabriel. Corey Cook, Associate Professor, Department of Politics at the University of San Francisco, Director of the Leo McCarthy Center of Public Service and the Common Good. Sarah Dennis Phillips from the Mayor's Office of Economic and Workforce Development. James Tracy, Lead Community Organizer at Community Housing Partnership and author of Dispatches Against Displacement. Enrico Moretti, Professor of Economics at UC Berkeley and author of The New Geography of Jobs. And our distinguished moderator, Alex Steffen, award-winning writer, speaker, and urban futurist, and author of Carbon Zero, Imagining Cities That Can Save the Planet.
Thank you. How are you? Yeah? Excellent. So we have a panel full of really intelligent, wonderful, witty people, so I won't get in their way too long here. But I was asked to say a few words about the future. Being a futurist, it's an occupational hazard. But I will remind you that being a futurist is one of the few jobs in which being regularly wrong is not considered an impediment to success. So, being a futurist, one is constantly tempted to predict. People want you to say what will happen. But that's actually not the smartest thing that futurists do. The best futurists, in my opinion, do something very different, which is that we look at what might be happening in the future as a way to get a different perspective on what is already happening now. This is what the writer Bruce Sterling calls predicting the present. And that's important because a lot of times we don't really know what's going on around us, right? We inherit all sorts of attitudes, outdated facts, biases about people or places or processes that don't correspond to what is actually unfolding around us. And it can be very hard to liberate our thinking from what we think we know to appreciate what we need to know. And so I would like to just share a way that I have been looking at this question here in San Francisco, and hopefully that'll kick us off to a start, which is to say that we have a very interesting dynamic here at the moment, which is that we are at the mercy of a whole lot of forces which have been unfolding more or less without serious attention. Population growth, the rise of San Francisco in particular into becoming a global city which is competitive in a global housing market, problems with the decline of suburbs and the pressure that that brings to move into the city if you can afford it or be driven out of the city if you can't. a whole series of issues that have to do with where jobs are being created and for whom, a whole series of issues that have to do with how we approach the issue of housing in terms of policy and law and social mores, right? What is okay to do with a house? Where can we build it? Who can live in it? How can you tell people if you own the house what they can and cannot do? Of course, we're also changing ourselves, and this is something that I think is often under-remarked, is that we are very different than we were even a few decades ago, right? We've gone through two huge economic or demographic transitions, one of them being the general demographic transition that's happened everywhere in the developed world, whereas incomes rise, women have fewer children, right? So we have smaller families. There's a second one as well, though, which is that people simply aren't dying, right? We are living way longer than we used to. In fact, population growth now, that's a global population growth as an issue, right? Which is something that we've all been raised to think of as basically, let's face it, kind of people somewhere else having too many kids. That no longer actually describes anything to do with what population growth is now. We reached peak baby a few years ago. We are not having more babies every year now, right? We are already at peak baby. What's happening now is people aren't dying, right? People are living longer, kids are not dying of easily preventable diseases, et cetera, et cetera. So now we have this problem where our population growth is fueled by something that we actually want, right? Which is not unplanned birth, but in fact, just, you know, avoiding unplanned death. And we are at the mercy of some similar trends here, right? Household sizes are shrinking, but at the same time, we're getting richer, which means that we expect more, right? So we have this combination of more and more households with the same population wanting more and more space with the same amount of money. And this is the kind of thing that is a very difficult perspective to work into the issues, right? It's really easy to want this to be simple. We're not building enough housing. Population's growing, we're not building housing to match it. That would be a simple solution. It probably, or simple description. It probably has some real truth in it. I think it does. But there's these other issues of what we want from our housing is changing, right? There are other issues about things, how we actually construct the social contract around housing is changing, right? Like think Airbnb and the way it's really kind of ripped through the Bay Area housing market in this sense of people are suddenly seeing a completely new use for the same homes that people were living in. And that sometimes that's tenants, sometimes that's owners, right? There are lots and lots and lots of these forces. And I would say that we know two things in general about this. One, the current situation is not sustainable. That just simply doing what we're doing will not lead to the results that we hope to have. And two, that the politics is probably the absolutely worst way to figure out any of the solutions to these problems, and yet it is also probably the only way that we have to figure out the solutions to any of these problems. So complexity, things are different than we thought. There's a wide variety of perspectives that are smart and useful, and we probably don't know as much as we think we do, and we're probably gonna have to argue a lot about it.